We got 14 games on the card. I have 7 open bets with plans to add 4 more. Let's get it.
Yeah, I'm so fresh like the morning. Mouth wide open like they yawning. Every time they see me, they in G-Shock. Homie, this is too far. Homie, I feel too alive. You can see me like Illuminati. You can see me like Illuminati. But I'm trying to...
What's going on, YouTube? Welcome to The Closing Line. My name's Troy Torrance, and I host The Closing Line every Tuesday and Thursday to remind you of 2 things. Number 1, the books are not your enemy. They're your roadmap. Every line move, every price adjustment, every number that opens and closes, the bookies are trying to tell you something. Most people want to fight the books. I urge you to embrace them. Number 2 is to limit the psychological damage. This is not a get-rich-quick scheme. The bookies will ban you for exhibiting just a 1% edge. The best gamblers in the world have a 3 to 5% edge, or ROI. The only way to be profitable in the long run is to remove your emotions completely. Avoid compulsion. So if you can't put your emotions aside, your chances of actually beating the books is 0%. Stay within the confines of your bankroll and grind. And with that being said, let's get it. But not before covering what we did last Thursday, because 2 Thursdays in a row now we've swept the card. Very small cards on Thursday for us because a lot of those games pop up in the morning. But we had action on 3 games. We had the Mets money line plus 105. That was a winner. The White Sox money line plus 150 was a thing of beauty. Another winner. And then the Royals first 5 money line. We opened it up the show with 2 units on it. And by the end of the show, we added another unit to that play. So total 5.55 units last Thursday. That brings the total closing line profitability P&L statement up to plus 24 units on the season. A great May, or actually a little bit of a struggle in the beginning of May. But other than that, man, it's been clear sailing. And we got a lot of games on the card. I have 1 game open. Let's see how my Astros first 5 bet is doing. 2-0. That's looking good. I knew it was 1-0, but I'm very happy to see us get out of that bases loaded jam. And hopefully that's on the way to getting us off to a good start on a Tuesday here. A lot of games on the board. Let's get into it. I'm gonna save some face a little bit today with some of the metrics and some of the data that I bring you to try to, because if you remember last Tuesday, we went over an hour by about 5-10 minutes. I don't want to let that happen again. Let's keep it high and tight. Let's get to cashing. First game up, Tigers and the Yankees. And it's no surprise to see 35% of the bets, 11% of the cash is on Detroit. Odds Logic is showing 22% of bets and 32% of cash on Detroit. So depending on how you look at it, you could say sharp action is coming in on Detroit because this line opened minus 105 on the Tigers, and it got down to minus 102, but there was never more than a 5-cent move on this game. Right now we're sitting back to where it opened. The total opened 7.5. Now it's up to 8, juice to the under. And I talk about this type of market every single time. When you see barely any line movement in this opening price range, between minus 110 plus 110, when you see barely any line movement, less than 10 cents, home teams absolutely dominate this market environment. It's unfortunate because I backed the Yankees yesterday. I took the loss. I was hoping to get the win there and then come back in on Detroit today. But I did move on in this game. I'm going to talk about that in a second. But first, Casey Mize, a pitcher I really like. I adore this guy. I love his pitch mix. He's got a 3.04 xERA, a 1.01 whip. He's coming off 4.2 innings pitched, 6 hits, 3 earned runs in Houston. And we faded him correctly in that game. It was his first road start since April. So it was kind of to be expected. He's been much better at home this season, 1.27 whip, a .172 opponent batting average. He has reverse splits, which I love in this matchup against the Yankees. Versus left-handed hitters, a 162 opponent batting average and a 431 OPS. And in my opinion, it's because of the pitcher that I talk about as being meta every single week, the splitter, which he uses at a 25% clip. It's 6 miles an hour slower than his fastball. It's the same exact speed as his slider. So between those 3 pitches, they all complement each other so well. They play perfectly together. And you know who else throws a splitter? Nathan Eovaldi, who continuously shuts down the New York Yankees. Mize versus the Yankees throughout his quick career, 42 at-bats, 167 opponent batting average, and a 596 OPS. And the Yankees they've been crushing right-handed pitching on the season. They're 4th, 9th since May 5th, and their league average since the beginning of June. And maybe it's because Judge has been down, but I think Mize could post a quality start in this spot. Rodon on the other side at 360 xERA. Good to see the old men pitching well. Love to see it. He's actually pitching better than I would have expected him to. Coming off 5 innings, 7 hits, 3 earned at home against the White Sox. and he's been better at home and versus right-handed hitters. But it's not a big enough sample yet this season to put equity into. He has great command of his fastball, but struggling to throw the breaking pitches for strikes. I think that's clear as day. His walk rate's at 13.2%, which is 50% higher than the MLB average. And he has terrible numbers against Detroit, 53 at-bats, 340 opponent batting average, and almost a 900 OPS. Detroit versus left-handed pitching is league average, but they're top 10 since the beginning of June. We know they've been uptrending offensively. We know they're better at home. So I think you can tell which way I'm leaning in this game. It's the Tigers. And I moved on the Tigers' first 5 money line at -110. And I mean, yesterday I had the Yankees. I did not like to see the late line movement. I was talking with Jimmy early in the morning about that game on his show, actually. So a lot of you guys might have heard it. But that line had opened up with a move towards Detroit. It came full circle, ended up with a closing move towards Detroit. And that scared this. I should have bought out of my action. That's where I need to show growth and buy out of my action when I see that move, especially when I'm putting so much emphasis on the market. I haven't quantified it yet, but when my profile of market history gets invalidated late in the market cycle, it usually loses. I haven't quantified it, but I need to be able to adjust and buy out of that spot in the future. So that's how I'm going to have to get better. So, yep, Tigers first 5 money line on the first game out. And let's touch on the chat real quick. I got right into it just because I'm super excited to talk about this slate, but we also got a lot of games, a lot of data to cover. What's going on with Top Set? First guy I see. I played the market today. You played the market today. What does that mean, Top Set? What's that mean, bro? Astros so far so good. Yes, sir. Let's get on the Astros. Thomas Maggio, New York Yankees money line. I don't like to see that. Jimmy the Bag 4-0. 4-0. What do we got? Oh, Astros 4-0. Jimmy the Bag bringing the good news, my guy. The Glover, Ryan Glover in the chat. What's up, chat? And Troy, let's cash some bets. That's the only thing I want to do right now. Jay Peasy, touchdown, Troy. I got Cubs plus 103. Don't let me down. I got the same exact number, Jay Peasy. Let's go. Actually, we probably are betting at the same books. I know the book I put that bet in on is very heavily used on the West Coast in California specifically. Jose Vabancos, hey, Troy, another win for the Padres yesterday. Let's go. 1-0. Love to see it. Mark A., my guy. Good to see you as well. We got some fucking dogs in the chat, man. I love this. Hino Ball, Mets and White Sox were so sweet. They laughed at me for those, Troy. Hino Ball. We know ball in here, bro. We know ball. That was some great bets. I mean, we're betting market history. We're betting numbers. We're not betting emotions. We're not betting teams we like. We're betting teams we don't like because the bookies like them. And that's exactly what I did with the White Sox last Thursday, and that's actually what I did with them again today. Next game up, Rays versus the Royals. Yesterday, it was a very contrarian bet. I was on the Royals plus 1.5 and the money line. I had some market history that was just overwhelming to the point where I couldn't not move on it. So I did cash 1.5 units on those two bets yesterday, but it was a very nuanced, unique market. This is a little bit different. Pretty to be straightforward with you, everybody's back in Tampa Bay. There's no surprise there. With this opened at -194, you can see a 1 cent move away from the Royals or from the Rays, excuse me. But it's really a stagnant market. The 7.5. It opened 8 juice to the over. Did we see this move down to 7.5? We did see this move down 7.5. So that might be invalidating the market that I was about to touch. I did not realize that this had ticked down from 8 to 7.5. So I might have to retouch on that. And I also had a graphic in this game that I wanted to show you because based on the market hill, Swig is an absolute savage for this. But you can see in the bottom what this is supposed to do. This is something I run for every game, every single night. I want to know how often lines move towards the home team, how often they move towards the road team. So I'm trying to do 2 things. I want to close with value, and I want to land in a profitable market environment. And you can look in the bottom right. That's the most important section. The one I have highlighted yellow here. You can see there's a lot of 67%. 67% is the break even at the current price. I was betting the Rays money line last night at -180, and you could see 67%. We're covering that. It's not necessarily. It's probably more like 66%. But you can see that we're pushing profitable we're in plus EV territory basically anyway this market moves. But now we are capturing a little bit lower of a total because now a 7 would be included in this profile. So it's not necessarily I want to take it 1 for 1 because it has changed a little bit, but I still do believe that this market is telling me with the opening line being at minus 190 instead of the move up to 190, because yesterday we seen a massive move towards the Rays. Today we opened at minus 190. They had accounted for that movement when they opened this line. At least that's the way I interpreted it. So I like what I see in the market. Then I look at the matchup. We got Avila on the mound, and we backed the Royals his last time out on this show. 5.2 innings pitched, 3 hits, 1 earned run. Was it on this show? I believe it was. Usually these guys pitch every five days, right? So we should be. Nope, it was last Wednesday. So I did not back him on the show, but I was on him his last time out. We didn't back him as much as we backed the market, though, to be honest. I don't want to say we backed him necessarily, because we backed the market, and there was a stretch where the database continued to tell me to bet the Royals every single day. So it was like 7 of 8 days I bet the Royals, and that is coming to a head right here today, because I'm fading the Royals today. I'm fading Avila. At home, his home road splits are a little bit perplexing. On the road, he has 25 innings, a .176 opponent batting average, or 180 ERA. Electric, just elite on the road. At home, much smaller sample, 12.2 innings pitched, a 429 opponent batting average, 12.79 ERA. Who is Avila? One major issue I see when I'm looking at his Savant pages, and I've watched him pitch a few times, and I think this remains true. His fastball and sinker at 25% each, they're the same exact speed. I think that gets into a little bit of trouble when he doesn't get the movement he wants on his sinker, both at 96 miles an hour. And to truly get the most out of those two pitches, you want there to be a differential in velo. Well, we're not seeing that with Avila, and I think that's something he could work on. He could get better at. Tampa Bay has been hitting right-handed pitching. They're 7th since mid-May, 8th on the season. And then McClanahan's on the mound. And usually I want to fade McClanahan. Like, if you just documented every start he's had, I've had to have faded him 3 or 4 times more than I backed him this season. The only time I backed him was against the Chicago Cubs, and I cashed. That was early in the season. I've been fading him ever since. He's got a 123 whip, 392 xERA. He's coming off 3 consecutive road starts in June. This is one concern I had, right? Because he was on the road for 3 consecutive times. We've seen regression over that period of time. His last time out versus the Dodgers, 3.2 innings, 5 walks, 3 hits, 2 earned. But even against the Angels on the road, 4 innings, 8 hits, 8 earned runs, and we faded him that game. I go back and forth with what I want to do with McClanahan. Like I said, my instinct is always to fade him, because I feel like you're paying a tax for his name alone. His fastball velo is down since he returned, about 1.5 miles per hour, but most of his numbers align with where he was in 2023. Ultimately, McClanahan is probably somewhere between good and great. I just can't put my finger on where he falls in that range. If he's great, then these prices are obviously justified. If he's good, then it's probably the latter. And I look at Kansas City, they finally started to hit a little bit. They're 11th since June against left-handed pitching. They're 15th since May 21st, since May 15th, since mid-May, and they're 21st on the season. I've been backing the Royals for too long. I already told you, I zagged on this game. I got the Rays money line minus 180. I thought we'd be closing with more value. Doesn't look like that's going to be the case, but it doesn't necessarily put us in a bad closing market relative to the history of this price range. So I like it, and I think the matchup agrees, right? Fade Avila off a great start, buy McClanahan off a bad start, buy the Rays at home off a loss, who just seem to continue to squeak out wins. So I do, and also one other side note that I do have on this game is that it didn't look like the first 5 was the play in this game by any way, shape, or form. And that makes sense based on the Royals bullpen, but I personally kind of wanted to bet the first 5 because I expect the Royals bullpen to experience favorable regression. So I don't think you should be betting the first 5 in this game, though. I think it should be a full game money line. Let's see if anybody's in the game, anything on this game. Colin Gregory, he's got the Mariners, Cubs, Astros, Guardians, and the Reds first 5. I think I have one of the other side. We're on a lot of the same action here today, though. Yes, you had Kansas City 3 units. I did have Kansas City. I mean, I was bet, but it wasn't just last Thursday, man. I've been betting that day. I bet him yesterday. I've been betting him every damn day for like over a week. And it's kind of embarrassing, but it's paid off. Let's go, Rays. Yes, sir, Kevin Bush. Let's go, Rays. It's kind of fun backing McClanahan. Usually when it feels good when you're making a bet like this, it usually ends up terribly. So, all right, next game up, we got the Pirates and the M's, and this is one that I'm just going back and forth with. The market is extremely nuanced, and it's no surprise to see. So let's actually pull this up. I want to make sure that these numbers that I have documented here are correct. The Pirates. We're looking at 39% of bets, 48% of cash, a little bit of sharp action per Action Network. Then we flip over to Odds Logic, and we're looking for Pitt at the house. Where are y'all at? And this is why I don't like the way this odds board is set up. Okay, this is where it is, right? On Pittsburgh, we have 32% of bets and 61% of cash. We are looking at sharp action coming in on Pittsburgh. I think it's pretty clear. We're looking at 67% of bets on the under and 94% of cash on the over. That is not surprising at all to me. And that's something that I was thinking about earlier. Like this was going to be a sticker shock. I was trying to play this game, grow the balls to play this game as the sticker shock play of the day. And it's because if you watch the show, I've been trashing Keller just every time he's on the mound, fading him with max bets, fading him every time he's been on the mound over the past, almost a full month now. But the market is so damn tricky in this spot. The market doesn't necessarily agree with this being the sticker shock because it's tricky. We want the home dogs when they're opening and closing a short home dogs with minimal line movement. The move to the over also favors the dog. And it kind of ruins the profile for the M's, to be honest. Like if you want them, I would probably be on the Mariners. I probably would have the conviction to be on the Mariners in this spot if it wasn't for this move to the over, which doesn't really make a lot of sense now that I'm saying it out loud. It's a really tricky game for me. And then we have a whole fiasco when we're looking at divisional, non-divisional, in conference, non-conference. Like it just makes this profile so complicated. The move to the over is going to keep me off this play, but this is where I need to be better. Like if this were the NFL, I would have seen this matchup with Keller and Kirby on the mound. I would have seen the 8 total that was staring me in the face for multiple hours. And I would have bet the over, knowing I was going to close with value, knowing that I had a matchup that agreed with it. And the database didn't say that the under was necessarily the play. So why wouldn't I bet the over, right? I couldn't do it. Something about the MLB, betting these games early, especially totals, betting them over, is just still something I got to get my arms around. But yeah, this was clear as day, right? You got Keller on the mound, and we faded him 3 consecutive games. And it started off that after that tragic performance he had against Minnesota. And it's safe to say Keller is in the worst form he's been in his entire career. In June, 14 innings, 2.0 whip, 9.64 ERA. Keller's last 3 home starts, 13.2 innings, 24 hits, 18 earned. I look at the price, I look at the total, and I wonder, how could it be true? Why is this price so short? Why is this total so low? And I'm just perplexed looking at this game. This is probably the most fascinating market on the slate. Seattle versus right-handed pitching. I talk about buying them. I want to buy Seattle versus right-handed pitching, but they have been regressing a little bit. They're 22nd since June 1st. They're 15th since May, and I talk about them, on the season, they're 4th. Last season, they were top 5. So I do think they hit right-handed pitching better, but they're just going through their slump like they do. We know the Mariners do that. Kirby on the mound, and he's optically, we were talking about this in Jimmy's chat earlier, like the optics aren't the same with Kirby. Usually Kirby's a reliable starter. People trust him. People trust him to go out there and give you 2 runs or less every outing. And he's allowed 3 runs or more, I think, in 6 starts in a row, 6 or 7. It's up there. It's over 5. His ERA is better on the road, but he's giving up a higher batting average. So is he better on the road? Is he better at home? And it makes me think that the baseballs might be juiced, especially when we're looking at parks like Seattle, which are known to be run-suppressing ballparks. So we're going to talk about the Giants later, where we're looking at a total of 9 in San Francisco. That's a sticker shock because we never see 9s in San Francisco. But it's interesting to see his struggles because the underlying numbers are pretty stable for Kirby's fastball velo is slightly up year over year. His ground ball rate is off the charts and stable. Pitching run values have dropped a bit, but the individual metrics are pretty strong. And we talk about Pitt too. Pitt's another team that hits right-handed pitching. They're much better at home. Really tricky game you're looking at here, in my opinion. Man, I've been going back and forth, him and Hall, with this game for too long. I got to let this game go. I still think the 8.5 is still too low given this matchup, given both teams want to hit against right-handed pitching. The Pirates at home play to the over. It's just a game I just don't feel comfortable. And I know that I'll be looking back on tonight. If I had bet this game and I had lost, I would be pissed off at myself, and it would ruin my day, even if I won every other bet. Whereas if I don't bet it, and I would have cashed with the Mariners, I would have cashed with the over, then, I passed on. I don't got the cash in my pocket, but it's okay. I can live with it. It's the losses that are devastating. It's the losses that weigh 10 times as heavy as the wins, at least 10 times as heavy. And with that being said, I'm going to pass on this Pirates game completely. Anybody in chat? I was not a lot on this game. Not a lot on this game here. Beautiful. Oh, Dabby Cabs in the chat. What's going on? Justin McElvey. What's going on, my boys? Anybody in this chat? Maybe Keller and Kirby can have a clean first inning, then we get the scoop on the over. It runs a score early, then just passed. Yeah, maybe you could get a live bet in this spot. I just know. Right. I know that if I bet this and lose, I'll be so fucking disappointed with myself. So I'm going to let this one go. Next game up is Marlins and the Rangers. 65% of bets, 73% of cash coming in on Miami. It's the same thing everywhere you look. Everywhere you look, the money's coming in on Miami, and it's not a surprise to see that when you look at Alcantara and Cal Quantrill on the mound. You can see on the screen we have a 7-cent move towards the Marlins. This total opened at 8.5, and it got, it was 8.5 juice to the under. Now it's down to 8 juice to the over, so it hasn't moved that much, but it is definitely a significant move going from 8.5 down to 8. Pretty key number. And market history would suggest that this game is appropriately priced. Like we're landing, we're hovering, we're straddling break even, no matter which way you slice this market, what variables you want to incorporate. If we had seen a bigger move towards the Marlins, I probably would be on the Rangers. And if we've seen a move towards the Rangers, I probably would be on the Marlins. That's how this market kind of works. Unfortunately, we got this very small, minuscule move towards the Marlins, not enough to give me conviction anyway. Alcantara's a guy, we backed him unsuccessfully his last time out. We backed him in Philly. He got blitzed. He bounced back after a terrible May. He's been much better at home outside of 2 starts at home this season. 3.42 ERA, 2.16 opponent batting average. He's been great against this lineup, and he's the type of pitcher that pairs well when you're looking at it through the lens of tunneling, right? Sinker, fastball, cutter, changeup. It's exactly what you want to see when you're trying to have every pitch come at the same trajectory. The major issue is he's trying to throw the changeup to put his hitters away when the changeup profiles is his worst pitch, and that's what's been getting shelled and gotten him into trouble. Texas for right-handed pitching's bottom 10 lineup in almost every date range you look at. But then you look at Cal Quantrill with a 5.34 xERA. He's not the type of pitcher that can maintain a big discrepancy between his ERA and his xERA because we're seeing almost a 2-run differential. He hasn't pitched more than 3 innings all season long. I expect him to get to the 4th, maybe the 5th inning, with the starter, with the opener, I should say. His last time out, 2 innings, 4 hits, 2 earned against Minnesota. I don't expect we're going to see Cal Quantrill very long. But we have seen a little bit of improvements with his underlying numbers. His pitching run value is up from basement to the top of the stairs. He's average, right? He hasn't necessarily gotten onto the maiden floor yet, but he's coming close to average. His hard hit, his barrel rates are showing modest improvements, but the xERA is just it's just looming over all these numbers, and it's going to blow up in his face eventually. I was on the Marlins yesterday, turned out to be a coin flip, and today I think it is a coin flip relative to the implied odds, right? This game is accurately priced. I'm seeing some unders in the chat. That's definitely the way I'd be looking. It's already moved to the under. You got the 8.5 at minus 115. You got a good number. Now that it's down to 8, I don't see an advantage on the total. This is another pass for me. I don't know if I've ever passed. I passed 3 games in a row. It's probably my first time on any Tuesday passing 3 games in a row. But with that said, here comes another pass between the Nationals and the Phillies, which is another tricky game because the market history is showing no value on either side. There is a heavy lean I have towards the under in this game. I just haven't grown the balls to bet it. Obviously, when you're looking at Poulin as an opener and Littell as a starter, you're looking at all the cash coming in on the Phillies. Especially everybody's going to want to bet the Phillies after a loss. They're going to want to bet the Phillies with Poulin and Littell on the mound. It's not a surprise. And Littell is going to give you most of the work here. He's probably going to go 4 to 6 innings, somewhere in there. And he's been one of the worst pitchers in all of baseball. Clear as day. 139 whips, 6.66 xERA. 6.66 xERA. This guy's the devil. The man is bottom 10% in almost every category, from his pitching run value to his xERA to his expected batting average. Hard hit rate, barrel rate, whip percentage, K percentage. This man is one of the worst pitchers in baseball. The only thing I like about this guy when I'm looking at his Savant page when I'm watching him pitch is his splitter. But guess what? It profiles as the worst splitter in all of baseball. Littell versus Philly, 41 at bats, 268 opponent batting average, 714 OPS. Nothing really to take from that. And Philly versus right-handed pitching is bottom 10 in the MLB. Bottom 10. I think they're probably, between 20th and 25th, but they have trended in the right direction. I mean, they're 12th since the beginning of June, with 425 plate appearances. It's a pretty decent sample. So we should see the Philly bats have favorable regression against right-handed pitching. Luzardo on the mound, I want to back this guy. I don't know why I want to back this guy all the time, but I do. 4.20 ERA, 3.35 xERA. That's probably the main reason why. We're seeing some expected favorable regression. He grades out above average to elite in every category outside of extension and fastball run value, which are two variables that are very highly correlated. He's coming off 7 innings pitched, 5 hits, 2 earned last Tuesday. We backed him successfully with a ton of doubt in the chat. I remember I was kind of getting hammered back in Luzardo, but it ended up working out. His sequencing is really what I think is elite. Watching this guy pitch, I enjoy it so much. His ability to change the eye level is just elite, and working inside of his pitch mix. He throws the 4-seam high and away, the sweeper low and away. When he's working inside, he's throwing the sinker high and inside, the changeup low and inside. Like, I just love the way he operates. He works within the zone. Washington versus left-handed pitching. I mean, they're top 3 lineup versus left-handed pitching, right? Number 1 on the season. What quality left-handed pitching have they hit that have similar stats or is a similar competency of Luzardo? Go look at the game logs. It's not there. Every time they see a quality left-handed pitcher, they underperform relative to their season average. Vastly underperform. They've only seen 2 really good left-handed pitchers on the season. That's Sanchez and that's Harrison. Both of them had quality outings. I think Washington numbers versus left-handed pitching is more skewed because I think it's more predicated on matchup than an actual innate ability to hit left-handed pitching. The Phillies lose yesterday 4-1 after the Sunday night baseball hangover, which came to fruition. The Phillies are just too hot to fade. I lean towards the under in this matchup. It's hard to back Littell, but I would say that I would have to lead with the database, which is all over the under in this game. This would be the way I play it. Jerry Davis on Alcantara W plus 180. That's much better than laying that big number, I'll tell you that. Thomas Maggio. Thomas, is that on this game, the over 8.5? You got the over in this one? I'm on Philly in the over, and I'm terrified with Nats bats. I know. I can't. Maybe I'm biased, too. That's part of the reason why I passed on that under. I want to bet unders in Washington because the whole narrative all season was overs in Washington. But that's kind of dissipated a little bit lately, so I'm going to let that go. Luzardo is extremely Joe, dude, he's so weird. He's so weird. Just randomly he'll get blown up for 8-9 runs, and then he'll pitch 3 gems, and then he'll do it again. He's definitely a weird guy, which I don't know why I like him so much. Next game up, Reds Brewers. I do have action on this game. Of course, we're looking at the public coming in on Milwaukee Brewers, and we're looking at the Sharps coming in on the Reds. The Reds open plus 102. They're down to minus 112. Very similar story in the first 5 market because I am on the Reds in the first 5 in this ball game. And I love backing teams in this profile. I love when home teams open between this plus 110 to minus 110 range, and it doesn't move very much. If it does move towards the road team, I want it to stay within 10 cents. If it moves towards the home team, I don't care where it ends because I had already bet it. I'm happy with the CLV that I'm getting. But this is definitely a market environment that favors the home team. I talk about it until I'm blue in the face. Every time I'm on the show, I'm betting this every single time. I'm opting to bet the first 5 because I want to get on the right side of Lodolo. We did it with Singer. I know JTB was on the same ship. We were on Brady Singer yesterday, and he pitched well. I expect the same thing to come from Lodolo. What I didn't account for yesterday was Woodruff, right? Woodruff in his first start back, what was that going to look like? It looked damn good. And I know the Cincinnati Reds offense, I've talked shit about it, but I do think that they can get to Sproat. His last time out, Sproat, that is, 3.2 innings, 2 hits, 4 earned. And that's after pitching better than I expected in Colorado and AAA Sacktown. I thought he'd pitch well against Cleveland. It wasn't the case. He's been equally as bad at home and on the road, equally as bad versus left-handed hitters and right-handed hitters. He throws the sinker cutter 4-seam, which I like. But the cutter does serve more as a changeup. I want to see that difference in speed and velocity. And he has a 34-degree arm angle. I think a slider, sweeper, some type of incorporation of those 2 pitches would work much better than his curveball. His breaking run value is bottom 1% of the MLB. And I think it's because he's throwing the curveball and his arm angle is it's not sidearm, but it definitely has that angle where the curveball or a slider or a sweeper would serve him much better. Cincinnati's bats are terrible versus right-handed pitching. They're 30th since May 15th. I want to back Lodolo. I want to fade the Brewers. I want to back Lodolo. I know he's been terrible. He's also got a 6.66 xERA. And he's having such a bad start to the season. We should expect favorable regression. This kid has been too good throughout his career. I know the underlying numbers do not suggest that to be true, but the price of this game definitely does expect that to be true. So I'm on the Reds' first 5 money line. We have a favorable market. I do think we should experience favorable regression with Lodolo. And I think Sproat can get touched up here, evidenced by the market and the total. Troy, under 10, minus 115. The last 9.5 to 10 totals at Great American Ballpark all have gone under. I have seen that as well. I have seen that. I was battling between, but that's part of the rule. I set a rule for myself that I won't bet totals higher than 9 under anymore. Trying to stick to it. It's really hard because this profile does look like an under as well, especially with the move towards the home team. That being said, next game up, my favorite team, the Chicago Cubs, on the road against the New York Mets. And let's see if this cash flow has stayed true, because this cash flow is a little bit ridiculous. There's no way it can be. And okay, it has evened out right now. 48% of bets, 25% of cash is coming in on the New York Mets. We look at over at Odds Logic, 72% of bets on the Cubs, 54% of cash. So yeah, I would say the sharp action is coming on the Mets. And if that was the case, why have we seen this line continue to move? So it's a little bit hard to profile this game, really hard, because this game opened, the first time this line opened, it was McLean on the mound against Cabrera, and they opened at like minus 140, minus 145. But then Senga got announced in yesterday. That was before the postponement, right? We've had 2 postponements now in Chicago Cubs games. But I'm just trying to say that this market is not worth profiling, because there's been so many moving pieces with 2 games being postponed for the Chicago Cubs. McLean was on the mound. Now it's Senga. It's really hard to measure. So I wouldn't put a lot of emphasis in the market, but I do think now that we're seeing a flip, right? Because the Mets this morning were minus 120. Now they're minus 105. We're seeing the flipping happen right in front of our very eyes, which is a very favorable market to bet into, especially non-divisional. In division, not the same. Non-divisional, that's a good thing. Cabrera's not been good, but he's been every bit as good as Senga, who's probably been one of the worst pitchers in baseball in his 5 starts. Well, I think we're at 6 starts, right? 6 starts now. He had 5 starts, and then he had a little injury. He's been out, and has only 1 start since April 26th. He was on the road in Cincinnati, 4 innings, 2 hits, 4 walks, 4 earned. Both hits, he allowed 2 hits. Both were home runs, and he's got the 4 walks. Now he's going to be better at home in a defensive ballpark, but he's struggling to pitch into the 4th inning. And I think it's because the only pitch he has that profiles above average is his forkball, which he cannot throw for strikes, which makes the offense approach extremely simple. Look fastball or don't swing. It's pretty easy, right? He's terrible versus left-handed bats, 232 whip, 333 opponent batting average, 1,000 OPS. And Chicago versus right-handed pitching, 8th on the season. They're 12th since May 15th, which includes their slump, right? So I do think that they're primed to hit right-handed pitching. That's what we want to see on the mound, being a Cubs fan. On the other side, Cabrera, I know he's been bad, 4.88 xERA, and it's dropped. He was under 4 xERA early in the season. That's continued to drop. After a decent start in Colorado, things fell apart, and he got Colorado at home, and he only went 4.1 innings, 3 hits, 5 earned. There was a grand slam in there with some walks, a bloop hit, and then a bomb. A bloop and a bomb got to him. And he's another started pitcher, and a guy that I talk about this every week. I don't know if I'm just beating a dead horse at this point. He doesn't lead with the fastball. So he's been susceptible to home runs. And I think it's because, not only because he's kind of predictable, but he's missing his locations. He tries to go up and into left-handers with the sinker. He misses over the plate. He tries to get the changeup to fall out of the bottom of the zone. It stays up in a 2-strike count. And it misses over the middle, and it gets taken to the bleachers. I feel like he would be in the bullpen if we had Steele, Boyd, Horton, that were available. I think he might be getting moved to the bullpen. Unfortunately, that's not the case, but I do think he is better than Senga. Cubs are in the very rare spot of 2 consecutive games being postponed. Mets have played 4 home games after a Sunday road game. So, yeah, right. The Mets' last game was a Sunday road game. Their first game back at home after that, 1-3 straight up. Only winning in extras against Arizona. Mets don't have a winning record at home this season. Both pitchers leave a lot to be desired. Both bullpens have been shaky, to say the least. The market is essentially a split decision now it's definitely flipped in favor of the Chicago Cubs. I feel like I can't recommend betting this game to anybody, but I bet it. I bet the Cubs money line plus 103, and it will be on my official record. So I am on the Cubs, but I might be a little bit biased in this one. Next game up, a game I definitely like, a market that's extremely favorable for your Chicago White Sox, a team I do not like. I have no bias towards. I could fade them, I could buy them, and I could be completely neutral. I could be Swiss. I could be Swiss on this game. We're not looking at a lot of cash coming on the White Sox, and it does not surprise me. Parker Messick is becoming a little bit of a public sweetheart, but here we go, right? Let's look at this line, minus 105 open, minus 105 current. We got a divisional home teams that open and close between minus 115 and plus 105 are 95 and 63 straight up, 60%. 87 and 66 to the over, 57% to the over. Now, here's the best part about this. If the total's less than 8, right, low total, the home team advances to 22 and 8 straight up, 73%, undefeated this year, 17 and 13 to the over, 57%. That alone warrants a bet, and I did. I moved on the Chicago White Sox. I moved on the first 5. I kind of want to fade Parker Messick in this spot because I do like the left-handed bats. I do like the bats against the left-handed pitching, right? The White Sox have been pretty damn good against left-handed pitching. And Burke, to me, is the epitome of a league average pitcher. We backed him last Thursday and cashed the plus 150. He's in his 3rd year in the league, and he's progressed each and every year from well below average. And I think he's finally up on the main floor. He's average now. And all of his metrics, all the underlying metrics agree with that move. His pitch mix is standard. Nearly every metric is plus or minus 5 percentage points from average. The only nuance in his numbers is his inning splits. He's worse the first time through the order, then he's better in the 3rd and 4th innings. Like, if you want to get a live bet in on him, that would make sense to me. And I definitely want to continue to fade the Cleveland offense. We have the public on the Guardians, a favorable market environment for the White Sox, a decent matchup considering the offensive prowess. We need to be back in the White Sox. I don't trust the White Sox bullpen, and it's depleted. So I'm opting to just play the White Sox first 5 money line. I played it for 2 units. 2 units on the White Sox first 5 money line. Minus 105 for me. Top says White Sox first 5 team total is 1.5. I do not perform well. My ROI on team total bets has not been good. So I'm going to let that pass. Jerry Davis, hard not to bet the Cubs with 2 days off. Yeah, Senga gets hit up. It's looking like possible couple-hour delay to start. And we're going to get another delay, just more and more delays for the Cubs games. That'll be an interesting one. And I think this next game I'll just briefly touch on real quick. I don't have much to say. The Los Angeles Dodgers at the Minnesota Twins. This game likely is not going to be played. The market history is tough to read with the pitching change because we have Joe Ryan was pitching. And I think the pitching change probably reflects the Twins' concern with this game being delayed or possibly postponed, right? They don't want their ace going out, going through his routine just to get delayed in the first few innings or postponed entirely. I doubt this game goes for that reason. This game is going to be a pass. Otherwise, I probably would be backing Robleski in the start because we know the Twins aren't left-handed pitching, and I like Robleski. Next game up, and this is a market that I might be moving on right now live on the show. The bets I have moved on live on show have been fantastic. I don't know why that is, but this is one I will be looking one way specifically. 53% of bets, 41% of cash on STL. And if we're looking at odds logic, I think it's significantly worse. It was ridiculous this morning. Let's see if this held up. Right now we're looking at 41% of bets on the Cardinals, but only 9% of cash. 9% of cash on Seattle. Very interesting. Yet the Cardinals opened as favorites. They got down to minus 115. Now they're down to minus 112, but they're still holding that favorite level. And this is a much different story than we're talking about a strong favorite like the Mets that opened over minus 120 and got bet all the way down to a dog. This is a very short home favorite getting bet to a shorter home favorite with a very cleanly, like anybody who looks at this matchup between Leahy and Rodriguez, they're going to want to bet Erod. Erod has a 2.45 ERA, a 4.95 xERA though. So regression is looming. He continues to pitch way above his expectation, but there's only one pitch. There's only one way a pitcher can have a 2.45 ERA with a 17% K rate and a barrel rate that's higher than the league average. There's only one way, and that's luck. He came out of May with a 1.0 whip, a 1.6 ERA, and he just does it again in June. However, he has been more vulnerable on the road this season at Cincy, at San Francisco, at Colorado, clearly more shaky on the road. He just operates in the high in the zone with the fastball, and then the changeup and curveball low in the zone, but it has much less movement, not a lot of stuff plus there. So in St. Louis has been viable versus left-handed pitching. On the other side, Leahy, this is why I haven't moved on it yet. This guy scares the living daylights out of me. He's got a 4.63 ERA, a 1.57 whip, and a 6.10 xERA. The underlying numbers suggest he's one of the worst pitchers in baseball, but the performances have been pretty consistent, right? 4 to 6 innings pitched, 1 to 4 earned runs, a 1.5 whip. Like, it's very consistent. It's like, are we going to expect him to break that trend and actually post a quality, a really good start here? It's hard to say he will. But then you look at Arizona versus right-handed pitching, and they're one of the worst in all of baseball. They're 27th since May 15th. They're 29th on the season. Is this why the price is justified? Because Arizona hasn't been hitting right-handed pitching? Because is this Arizona offense that bad? Why are the Cardinals favorites in this spot, especially with the depleted bullpen? Why? Why did they open as favorites? I can't get my arm around it. Can anybody talk me into the St. Louis Cardinals in this spot? Because I want to be on the St. Louis Cardinals. We have a market history, right? I love seeing the home teams and these short prices, very little line movement. This is right up my alley. This is right where I want to be betting home teams, especially non-divisional. I might have to circle back to that. I kind of want them. Next game up, Rockies and the Red Sox. What a tragic experience all Red Sox fans must be going through. Where's Nasty Nate? Red Sox smashed today? We think so because everybody else thinks so. Anywhere you look, you're looking at 80% of bets and cash coming in on the Red Sox. Yet this line opened. Let's see, because we don't have the graphic updated quite yet. This line moved 5 cents towards the Rockies. They're currently priced at plus 135. The total open 10.5. It's pretty stagnant. And home teams priced between plus 150 and plus 120 with a high total, over 9, and less than a 10-cent move in their direction, or 55% straight up since 2023. And if 70% or more of the cash is on the road team, 13-8, 62% straight up. The Rockies are 50-50 in that sample. They're 7-7. This season, they're 2-1. They beat the Phillies. They beat the Astros, both games in April. The issue is it's rare to see Boston prices this big of a favorite, or else I would have already moved on the Rockies. I look at Sonny Gray, and I like what I see, right? 3.95 xERA, coming off 2 home starts where he was solid. He's been solid all season. He's only been to Mile High one time, and in 2019, he went there, 7 innings, 5 hits, 1 earned. We know he's capable of posting a good start there. He has been more vulnerable on the road, so he should be more vulnerable in Mile High, but he is up against one of the worst lineups in baseball. Mostly versus left-handed pitching, they're terrible, but versus right-handed pitching, they're below league average. They're just not a bottom 5 lineup. But I think that some of the underlying numbers for Sonny Gray are better because of how he's incorporated a cutter. I watched Sonny Gray pitch. I like watching him pitch. You could see the increase in cutter, when you're watching him pitch. But if you look at Baseball Savant, it's 10%. I actually thought it would have been more. His fastball run value went from bottom 25% to top 10% over that time frame. It also, the cutter, helped him increase ground ball rates and reduce hard contact. Like, he's having a really good season. He's not getting as many Ks, but he's having a good season. Then you look at this young blood, Sullivan, on the mound, and god damn, his numbers look bad. Only 2 starts, a 10.29 ERA with a 1.72 xERA. I don't know what to take from that because the Cubs absolutely shelled him, made him look extremely uncomfortable. He was walking hitters, and the Cubs were just teeing off on him. 4 innings, 9 hits, 8 earned. But I look at his pitch mix and I like what I see. Fastball, sweeper, cutter, changeup. I like what I see. The fastball and the cutter make up 68%. That's way over my level of demarcation. And the cutters and sweepers perform better with the lower arm angle. And he's close to sidearm at a 30-degree angle. He's a highly touted prospect. There's going to be some rough patches with a young kid like this, but he has been pretty damn good. Now the problem is Boston is better versus left-handed pitching. 14th since May, 8th on the season. Really tricky game because of the pitching matchup, and seeing Boston is such a big favorite. But I would have to absolutely lean towards the Colorado Rockies in this handicap. I think the market supports it, and I also think the matchup, like you can make a case that Sullivan's going to have a good outing. Be it hard, you could definitely make that case. Next game up, Angels O's. Thomas Mazzio. No, before I even brought up the game that I was going to talk about this one next, he's all over the Orioles. Topside says, I capped this at Boston minus 160. I'm so confused, but I'm off. Boston minus 160 is pretty damn close. It's pretty close, minus 160. All right, next game. Well, let's talk Angels-Orioles, where I do have a bet down in this game, and we're looking at a lot of bets, a lot of cash coming in, fading Ryan Johnson. Let's see if that remains true. I know at Action, we're looking at 80% plus of bets and cash coming in on the Baltimore Orioles. We go over to Oz Logic. Where's Baltimore? Here you are. 88% of bets, 94% of cash coming in on the Orioles. And what have we seen this line do? We've seen this line open plus 135 and plummet down to plus 120. Total opened 9, juice to the under, and it's been pretty stagnant. Let's see if that remained true. It's juice to the under. We have 2 cents of movement. No movement. Stagnant total. 15, 20 cent move towards the Angels. Why would we be seeing that if Ryan Johnson was going to be inferior today on the mound? I just don't know if we'd be seeing that big of a move. And it's a complex market. I do have a graphic for this game. And I don't know if my guy Swiggy's probably driving, probably can't pull it up. But when you look at home dogs between plus 110 and plus 130, with the market moving towards them, they're 129 and 138 straight up. That's 48%. That's already plus EV, because the break even at this price is at plus 120 is about 45%. Like, you're already in plus EV and you're just through 2 filters. Then you look at non-divisional and the win rate jumps from 48% to 52%, 97 and 91 straight up. Then we look at the total range and we look at anything higher than 8s. And we're talking about, a 54% win rate over a massive 110 game sample. The cash flow only exacerbates the profile, especially when cross-tabling. When you start cross-tabling the line movement in this home dog price range with the cash flow, basically talking about reverse line movement, it just continues to get worse. The market history is so overwhelming that despite the matchup, I would be moving on the Angels in the spot, and that's exactly what I did. I bet the Angels first 5 money line for plus 120 for a unit. I bet the first 5 plus a half minus 120 for a half unit, because I do think I can make a case that both pitchers are going to pitch well. So if I push on the money line, I want to at least capture that half a unit by taking the run line. So I got 1.5 units on this first 5. And at most, I look at Shane Baz. I like Baz. He's got a 4.64 xERA, below average, coming off 7 innings pitched, 5 hits, 3 earned runs against Seattle. He's been better on the road this season, both ERA and batting average. But against who? Look at the game log. It's some of the weakest offenses, or offenses that are in terrible form. But it's a weak game log. I do think he's volatile from inning to inning. Like, it almost looks like a different pitcher sometimes. And the pitches even have different types of movement or less movement, or just like off the charts. His pitcher, I watch Baz pitch, I'm completely confused. I'm like, that said knuckle curve, but that pitch acted completely different than his last knuckle curve. And I think the fastball, sometimes catches too much of the zone, but for the most part, Baz has been solid. And I think he has some nasty stuff. He's been well above average for the past month, really. His last 6 starts dating back to the 20th of May, he's been really damn good. But if he's going to have a good outing today, why are the bookies trying to fade him? Especially considering he's catching most of the cash flow, and considering that Ryan Johnson is on the other side. Ryan Johnson, 2.33 whip, 12.83 ERA, 6.27 xERA. Yet this line's moved 20 cents in his direction. He's only had 2 starts on the season. Both of them were against the A's. So it's kind of a tough pull, especially considering one of those games was in Sacramento on the road in AAA ballpark. But prior to that, he pitched against the Dodgers 2 times and the Cubs when they were the best offense in baseball. So I understand it's hard to trust a kid who hasn't shown the ability to post a quality outing. But at the same time, what are the bookies telling me? What is the market history showing happens with this type of line movement? It tells us he's going to have a good start. And when I look at when we talk about his potential for a second, he's 23 years old. He has a ton of potential. He throws a pitch mix that I absolutely love. The sinker, cutter, splitter, sweeper. Sinker, cutter, splitter, sweeper. Pair that with a 19-degree, damn near sidearm angle, and we should see a ton of movement on his pitches. And I actually think he fares well against this lineup. Baltimore versus right-handed pitching, they're 25th since mid-May. They're 23rd on the season, but they are 10th since the beginning of June, so they have been heating up. But this is not a traditional right-handed pitching. Like he's essentially a sidearm pitcher, and he throws the pitches I want to see. A sidearm pitcher, I want to see the sweeper. The splitter is almost operates like a cutter, but it doesn't. It's just in my mind it does. And then you got the cutter and the sinker like that. Those are pitches you want to see when a kid's throwing sidearm, and that's what he throws. The bookies are telling me he's going to have a good outing, and the market history aligns. Who am I to not bet this spot? Like my hand is forced. It's pretty clear we need to back the Angels in the spot, in my opinion. Like I already said, I'm on the Angels first 5, and I'm on the Angels first 5 money line and plus a half. So let's get whooped in the chat. Oh wow, yes. Oh wow, hope you win. Wait, Thomas Maggio, Burks. Yeah, I thought Thomas Maggio would be hammering me for betting the Angels in the spot. Jerry Davis, I'm on Baltimore first 5. Johnson dude wakes up and gives up 5 runs. But hold on though, hold the phone, man. Give the kid a chance to breathe. He's 23. He's only pitched against some of the best lineups or the worst situations for pitchers in the MLB. Like inning for inning, he's had the toughest resume in the MLB. So it could be right. Like this could blow up in my face, and I could definitely live with losing this game. But what I wouldn't be able to live with is not betting this game and watching it cash. I watched Ryan Johnson. I have a good friend named Ryan Johnson. So it's kind of weird to say it, but yeah, I think Ryan Johnson pitches well here. Next game up, we got the Braves and the Padres. 57% of bets, 77% of cash coming in Atlanta. Padres open -110. They're down to -105. The total opened 8, juiced under. It's up to 8.5, juiced to the under. So we have seen a move towards the over. But this is another one where it's a coin flip-ish type of game. It's about as coin flip-ish as you'll find in the market efficiency database. Every iteration of the market lands between 47 and 53% in favor of either side, depending on how you configure the variables. If anything, the weighted average favors the Braves just slightly. So that would be the way I'm leaning coming out of the market analysis, would be towards the Braves. But then you get into it's really hard not to be betting the Braves, right? You're going to get German Marquez. You probably get some Griffin Canning. I think you'll see both of these guys today. In either case, you're not going to get quality pitching. Both right-handed pitchers that have low velo or bottom 10% in hard hit rate and pitching value. Marquez's last outing, I don't know how he's still pitching in the league. 5 innings, 7 hits, 5 walks, 7 earned. So 2.2 whip against the White Sox. Canning actually has been much better. And if I were backing San Diego, I definitely want to see Canning come in as soon as possible. And I've been calling for regression from Atlanta on this show for over the better part of the past 2 months. And that's exactly what we've seen since May 15th or 29th versus right-handed pitching. But this is definitely the 2 pitchers that you'd want to see if you wanted to break out of a slump. Canning and Marquez are 2 of the top candidates there. Then you got Richie on the other side, 486 xERA, definitely a young kid, really hard to measure, but he has proven that he could post quality starts. He's in a situation where the database was screaming to the over his last time out against San Francisco, that I think I gave out the over on this show. There was a rain delay and all this shit, but he'd given up like 4 or 5 runs in the first 2 innings. The main issue with J.R. Ritchie, his highest usage pitch, I'm going to just hammer every pitcher that does this. When a pitcher leaves with a non-fastball, which is what he does, a curveball that he throws early in the counts, late in the counts, it's his most used pitch. And it's his best pitch, don't get me wrong, but it just creates such an easy approach for the offense. San Diego. These are two of the worst lineups. Both lineups can't hit right-handed pitching. So you got two of the worst offenses in baseball over the past month. A pitching matchup that's really hard to get your arms around between Richie, Herman, Marquez, Canning. A market history that's extremely neutral. This game is clearly a pass, in my opinion. I lean under because I'm sick. I'm absolutely sick with the disease where I want to bet unders all the fucking time. So, but I'm kind of passing on the game. I have no action on totals on this entire slate. And actually, I think all the action I've given out has been in the first five. Outside of the Cubs, I have one full game bet. Outside of that, I have only action on first fives today, but I might be adding the Cardinals. Last game up, we got 5 minutes to go. Giants Athletics. I have another first five bet in this game, and I'm bullish on the Giants in the first five. Let's talk about why. First of all, we're seeing sharp action and the more bets coming in on the Athletics. And we're seeing this line open minus 126, and now it's up to minus 142. Total opened 8.5. It's up to 9. Like this, I mentioned this, I alluded to this. It's extremely rare to see a 9 total in San Francisco. It's extremely rare. So I have a database. I databased every game back to 2023, but I stopped my season because the NFL season starts in early September. So late August, I basically stopped documenting plays, basically making entries into the database. So my database runs every season from 2023 to August of that season, right? So my season ends the last week of August every year in the database. We've seen 4. There's only 4 in the database since 2023 where the total was 9. So that's definitely something to consider. This is an outlier. Giants as home favorites with a total between 8.5 and 9. Line moving towards them, 10-8 straight up, 15-2 to the under. But this total is one of those situations where it's so glaringly high to me. Like I might have to take it as a sign and not bet the under. Then I start looking at the side and I start to become bullish on the side. Non-division home favorites that are priced between minus 150, minus 135 with a total between 8.5 and 9 with the line moving their way, 64 and 49 straight up, 57%. However, if the total is also moving towards the over, that increases to 64%. And if it's not in conference, it's up to 80%. If we incorporate cash flow, it helps the home team's profile significantly. Like if the sharp action, the bigger bets are on the road team in this market environment, we're talking about 50 plus game samples, home teams winning over 60%. And it's just a ridiculous clip. I had also had a graphic for this one that I don't think we have in the background, but this is a graphic I should post on X. Maybe I will follow up. If you don't follow me on X, follow me on X so I can post this graphic. We have plenty of time before this game pops off. Fascinating market, and especially with how the cash flow interacts with the results. It's fascinating. Robbie Ray on the mound. This is a pitcher I wanted to fade. 4.07 ERA, 5.02 xERA. He had a rough go in May, but the beginning of June has been promising. Since the beginning of June, 17 innings, 11 hits, 7 walks, 5 earned runs. So he's posting a 1.0 whip and a 2.65 ERA against Atlanta, Washington, and Chicago. We know Atlanta's been cold. Chicago's been mediocre, but Washington's been smashing left-handed pitching. If his command is on and he's not walking batters, he's going to be fine. He has been much better at home this season. 3.55 ERA, 2.06 opponent batting average. He's just as good versus right-handed hitters as he is against left-handed hitters. So all the righties in the Athletics lineup, I feel less concerned about. And then he throws the fastball, slider, changeup, which somehow it still works for him if he has his command, if he's not walking guys. The Athletics versus left-handed pitching, now this is an interesting split. Athletics versus left-handed pitching, they're 5th on the season. At home, they're 2nd on the season with 135 WRC plus. On the road versus left-handed pitching, 29th with 69 WRC plus. The only offense that's worse versus left-handed pitching on the road is the Colorado Rockies. Then you look at Savali on the other side, and I think Savali is really bad. 5.53 xERA, 4.91 actual, 1.59 whip. His last 2 starts, 7 innings, 18 hits, 13 earned runs. And I don't care if both of those games were at home in a AAA ballpark. If you're pitching 7 innings and giving up 18 hits and 13 earned, you're not pitching well. You're pitching terribly. You're pitching way below the MLB average. There's 16 metrics listed in the percentile ranking section of Baseball Savant. Savali is bottom 10% in 12 of them, so 12 out of 16. He's on pace for the worst season of his career by far. Usually his xERA is better than actual. That's no longer the case. It's inverted. Like we expect more regression from this guy. His fastball velo is down. His K rate is down. The cutter is the only competent pitch he has, which again makes life easy on offenses. San Francisco versus right-handed pitching, they're second since mid-May. They're 11th on the season, and it's about damn time that offense got into gear. And then you look at the situational aspects of this game, and I love it. The Athletics are coming off 3 consecutive home series in Sacktown, losing 2 of their last 3 games. The Athletics' offensive run production in the first game of a road trip, right? It's because they're traveling from home to road. They've spent 3 series at home. Now they're traveling for the first time in a few weeks. They went to Chicago. They scored 1 run. They went to the Angels, to LA. They scored 1 run. They went to Philly. They scored 1 run. They went to the Yankees. They scored 3 runs. They went to Toronto. They scored 2 runs. The only game that they went over their team total is at Seattle. They scored 6 runs. Honestly, this is a situation where I would be betting the Athletics team total under. But just because I've been struggling with totals, especially with the team total market, I chose to pass on that. And I loaded up on the Giants' first 5 money line, minus 145. I got 2 units on it. I'm interested in adding more. I was thinking about doing a first 5 money line parlay, which I do like the first 5 incorporation into the money line parlays because you do have the pushability. But I think that the Giants' first 5 is probably one of my favorite bets. One of my favorite bets based on the matchup, the market, and the situational aspects. This is a damn good game. You talked me into Giants money line. Let's get it, top set. Let's get it. Thomas Maggio. Thank you, Thomas. Thank you. Good luck today, Abe. Good luck today. I'll definitely be thinking about you in that Angels game when I'm watching Ryan Johnson throw sidearm and getting shelled all over the field. It's gonna be one or the other. Like, it's gonna be a polarized outing. Ryan Johnson's gonna pitch great, or he's gonna get absolutely busted. All right. With that being said, it's time to wrap it up for the closing line for today, June 23rd, 2026. Thank you to everybody in chat. I truly, truly mean it from the bottom of my heart. I really appreciate you guys showing up, showing me love, showing Pub Sports Radio love. Drop a like, share this video. If you appreciate my content, always, I come armed to the teeth with information. I hope you appreciate it. I'm here every Tuesday and Thursday at 5 p.m. to represent Pub Sports Radio on the closing line. And, Peter Loshak's here every single other day of the week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And I've been grinding my ass off. I've been all over the place today since 5 a.m. trying to get this money. Now it's time to watch our investments flourish. Good capping, good luck, and I'll see your ass on Thursday.